constitutory. As you might notice from my garb here, it is very cold at the moment, but I've got my hat and I've got my scarf and a big jumper and a big cup of coffee. I've already done packing and kind of emails and sorted out a newsletter. So I'm just sitting, grasping my coffee, and in about 10 minutes or so I'm going to go out for a walk at Loch Lomond. But first I'm looking at this jumpsuit which belongs to my older daughter Zoe. And it's a beautiful jumpsuit by Lucy and Yak and she looks wonderful in it. But unfortunately, in that kind of trying to struggle into it, she has ripped a seam here. So I have said that I'll have a look at it, see how I can repair it. And I'm probably going to put that all into the studio club, kind of a step by step as to how I did this. But I thought I'd also show it here. But first of all, I am going to go to Loch Lomond and I'm going to just go there and have a wander around and a sit and a think and let all of this beautiful light go into me. The reason for that is that for about the last 20 years I have been living with an autoimmune disease called Addisons Disease, where basically my adrenal glands stop working, my pituitary glands stop working, and various other things, but mainly that. And I have found over the 20 years that the calmer I can stay, the less drama I can have in my life, the more doing things that I want to do. Can you hear my dog barking? The more that I can stick to things that nourish me, the more managed all of the symptoms are. And that's, you know, some of that's fatigue, some of it's joint pain, some of it's brain fog. But if I can manage my kind of stress levels and put inside me a sense of calm, then I find that that makes everything else go so much better. So I put into my days spending time outside, and it's not necessarily spending time outside doing things. It's not necessarily gardening or walking or foraging. It's often just being, and that's what I'm going to do today. And I'll take the camera along with me, but I will not take the barky dog. Not today. Along the eastern shore of Loch Lomond there are these amazing oak woods which were planted at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Originally they would have been very managed oak coppices. The tannin from the oak would have gone to tan leather, which was needed for the belts in the new factories, and also to treat fabric for the dye works locally. And then as an understory, and these are not the original plants, but they're in the kind of the seed bank, there would have been alder, which was tolerated because they knew that alder created fertility in ground, and also because it was used to make waterproof clogs for factory workers. And there was an understory of holly, and again holly wasn't seen as interfering with the oak, and it had wood that could be used to make very fine printing blocks for fabric. And now all of that history is kind of just subsumed, and instead we have this beautiful light oak woodland. What I'm wanting to do with this jumpsuit is, now that I've got the ugly bit, like the reinforcement all there, I'm wanting to actually make it into a much more interesting jumpsuit for Zoe, that's actually a work of art, rather than it being something that's very obviously mended onto the arm. So what I'm doing is I have this old curtain, which has got very beautiful kind of flowers on it. I have had this curtain for 15 years. I have not used it. I used to have it up when I had a shop, and I had it there. So I'm quite happy to cut it up. So I'm cutting up the individual flowers. And then onto the back, I have put some of this stuff. This is like a layer of glue, iron-on glue with a paper backing. So you iron it on, there's a paper bit here, and then when I've cut it out, I'll be able to just push it on here and iron it, and that will stick it there while I sew it. These are 3 of the motifs that I have chosen. I think that this beautiful one of a calendula, well, I'll put actually over the patch, and the reason for that is it's got this nice positioning of 2 big flowers, which I can put over that rip. Then I'm going to cut very, very carefully right the way around the motif, and carefully attach that to the fabric. I find the idea of mending really interesting, because for me it's not necessarily a taking back to the original. That's not interesting enough to motivate me to actually do it. It's an excuse to make something new. And that's why I particularly like this idea of the appliqué mending, because this jumpsuit is going to end up with something that looks a little bit more high fashion than just mended. Or maybe they're the same. So now I'm going to take half an hour or so to start this embroidery, and I will show you how I get on next week. If you've liked this video, please subscribe and like and comment and all of that stuff. This appliqué is part of a much more detailed step-by-step tutorial that I'm developing for the Studio Club. If you're interested in the Studio Club, there's a link underneath this. It gives you an idea of what it all is. And now I am going to leave you with a little bit of a snowdrop watch. I am watching my snowdrops every day, so I will show you at what stage they are, and you can compare from last week. And I will see you next week. Goodbye.